Hello boys and girls, this is Mr. Jiminy. I'm just going to model a couple problems. Problems similar to what we saw today in class that you should have some examples of in your graph notebook there. Solving an equation by adding or subtracting or adding and subtracting. So if I take a look, I have 2 8/10 plus m is equal to 9 4/10. Okay, to solve this, I need to isolate. Remember what isolate means? I want to get this variable, this unknown, by itself. So to do that, I need to move things to the other side of the equation. Here's that equal sign that separates one side of the equation from the other. And remember, whatever I do to one side of the equation, I must do to the other. It's a scale. Keep that balance. So this says 2 8/10 plus m is equal to 9 4/10. I need to isolate that m, that variable m, and to get rid of that 2 8/10. Fortunately, there's nothing for me here to simplify. I just need to isolate. So to get rid of this 2 8/10, because we're adding, I use the inverse operation. I want to use the inverse operation. I'm going to use a subtraction property of equality. So I need to subtract 2 8/10 from both sides, because whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. Now, by subtracting the 2 8/10 from the left side of the equation, those two cancel each other out. I had 2 8/10. I subtracted 2 8/10, so now I have nothing but the variable m, which is what I wanted. I wanted to isolate it. Now it is. Okay, 8, I can't take 8 from 4. That becomes a 14. That is a 6. Bring my decimal down. This becomes an 8. 8 minus 2 is now 6. I can check this by substituting in. Now that I say that m is equal to 6 6/10, I substitute it back into the original equation. So that means that 2 8/10 plus 6 6/10 should be equal to 9 4/10. Let's see. 8 and 6 is 14. Decimal. 6 plus 2 is 8 plus 1 is 9. 9 4/10 is equal to 9 4/10. That is a check. I am done. Okay, that's using the inverse. I'm using the opposite of addition. I'm using the inverse operation, and that was using subtraction property of equality. Now, I will do another one real quick. Let's do one that has subtraction. And if I go back to the pre-test, I had 18 is equal to d minus 5. So, take a look at this. Here's my variable. Here's my equal sign. So whatever I do to the one side, I must do to the other side. I want to isolate this variable d. I wanted to get it by itself. Now, fortunately, there's nothing really for me to simplify here. So this says to subtract 5. To get rid of negative 5, because that's really negative, I'm going to add 5. That cancels this out. But remember, whatever I do to one side of the equation, I must do to the other. I am now left with 23 is equal to d. I tend to like to have the variable or the unknown first is equal to 23. Now to solve this, remember what I do? I just plug in the value. I'm going to substitute in 23 for d. So let's take a look. 18 is equal to 23 minus 5. This side is already simplified. To simplify this side, 23 minus 5, that does indeed equal 18. So I am done with that problem. Okay. Now these are kind of straightforward, simple, a little bit easier than we're used to. They will get a little harder. So don't get too confident in yourself. Continue to practice your skills. I could do something along the lines of, let's see here. You know, we could just make the numbers bigger if we wanted. But I could take y minus 1 7/10 is equal to 6/10. I could do something like this. When I do this, I'm asking myself, okay, the operation here is subtraction. I need to do the inverse to get rid of that, because remember what I want to do? I want to isolate. I want to isolate this variable. To isolate, I need to get rid of this. Here's my equal sign. What I do to the one side of the equal sign, I must do to the other. To get rid of a negative 1 7/10, I must add 1 7/10 to both sides. When I do that, those cancel each other out, so I'm just left with y. Y is equal to, I add the 1 7/10 here. 7 plus 6 is 13. Put my decimal point down. 1 and 1 is 2. That tells me that y is equal to 2 and 3/10. To check my work, I am going to just simply substitute it back into the original equation. I have 2 and 3/10 minus 1 and 7/10 is equal to 6/10. Okay, there's nothing to simplify in this side of the equation. I'll just bring the 6/10 down. I now subtract 2 and 3/10 minus 1 and 7/10. Well, 2 and 3/10 is 3 away from 2, and that is 3 away from 1 and 7/10, so that also gives me 6/10. That's a check because both sides equal the same. Hope this helps you out. I wish you well with your homework or your evening practice tonight. Take care.